The cost of depression and suicide in the USA. Depression is a mental health disorder that doesn't discriminate, affecting people of all ages, ethnicities, and backgrounds. The cost of depression and suicide in the USA can be calculated by looking at both tangible and intangible costs. The tangible costs are the actual economic losses incurred by society because of depression and suicide. These include medical expenses, work loss, workers' compensation claims, and unemployment insurance benefits. Also, as disability benefits, law enforcement expenses for crime prevention and investigation efforts related to suicides or attempted suicides. Intangible costs are the value of lost human potential due to premature death or disability from depression or suicide. These include the value of lost work productivity, as well as the pain and suffering experienced by those who have been left behind after someone they love has died by suicide. How depression impacts the world's economy from a global perspective. Mental illness affects around 300 million people worldwide. It is a global health issue that has a significant economic impact on the world. Depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder are the most common mental illnesses that have been studied in relation to their economic impact. Depression is one of the most common mental disorders that can be treated with therapy and antidepressants. The World Health Organization, WHO, predicted that depression will be second only to heart disease by 2020. As the leading cause of disability in the world, major depressive disorder is its most prevalent form. Depression has an economic impact on society because it affects the quality of life and decreases productivity in work. Studies have shown that depression can lead to decreased productivity at work, higher absenteeism rates, lower job satisfaction, and increased use of medical services for physical health problems. What are the costs associated with mental illness? Mental health is an important issue in the United States and around the world. Mental illness can have a huge economic impact on individuals, families, and communities. There are many costs associated with mental illness. The most obvious cost is the money spent on treatment, but there are also costs associated with lost productivity at work and school. There are also other indirect costs such as those related to behavioral issues that may arise from a child who has a parent with mental illness. There are many different types of mental illnesses, but they all have one thing in common. They can be costly to individuals, families, and communities in terms of both time and money. The economic cost of treatment gap for depression in the United States. Depression is one of the most common mental disorders in the world. It is also one of the most costly. In this section, we will explore how depression affects an individual and society, and what we can do about it. The economic cost of the treatment gap for depression in the United States is a staggering $210 billion annually. The economic impacts of mental illnesses around the world. Mental illnesses are a huge global issue that affects all countries. The World Health Organization has found that mental illnesses account for 13% of the global disease burden. Mental illnesses are not just a problem in developing countries, but in developed countries as well. They account for 1/5 of the total disease burden in Europe and North America.